good morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on what part of the globe you're on, what time zone you are in. I am Skeptically Speaking, just catching up on the events of the week. And do we have a lot of them? Oh my god. Yes, we have a lot. So everybody's hot to trot about the No Kings Parade, which I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. It's not going to affect the change that we want. In fact, I don't think it's really going to do much of anything. They don't take us seriously. If it's not black lead, if the protests are not black lead, we're not going anywhere. And right now, I don't see black fingerprints on any of these protests. Not at all. They're just performative. Everyone's dressing in my sound doesn't exist on TikTok. I wonder why. Can you check on that, please? All right, I'm going to turn off my lavalier mic and see if that does anything. Yeah, please let me know. But yeah, anyway, we're not going to get the results that we want when it comes to protesting. It's just not going to happen for us. You know, we need to get serious about this. If we're really serious, we're going to start this protesting on Monday instead of, this weekend warrior shit. Please let me know about the sound. Okay. So apparently I have no sound. I'm not sure why that is. Let me just check my settings real quick. And let's check the sound again. We're going to keep checking the sound to see if it comes on. Okay. I might have to restart. Thank you. Yeah, there is no sound. Let me just try again. Oh. Mute microphone, unmute. Still nothing. Okay, I don't hear any sound either. Okay, I'm going to have to restart. Why? They just shut my sound on me? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to...
That's it. I don't have a problem. Okay, you keep saying that like I have a problem with Bad Bunny. I don't have a problem with Bad Bunny. I'm saying the idea doesn't make sense because one, there's a language barrier. Two, most people that's going to be there are not fans of Bad Bunny. So how is that? Who cares? You think that people were fans of Madonna when she performed, or Janet Jackson, or Justin Timberlake, or Whitney Houston, or Michael Jackson, or any of their celebrities? No. I'm pretty sure that there were people like you that were like, I don't like Madonna. Why did they choose Madonna out of everyone? There's nothing you can do. All you can do is turn the TV off. Look, look, look. Here's my thing. If I'm just gonna name a random celebrity. If I can't think of a celebrity that I don't know. It's Taylor Swift, and I love Taylor. It's Taylor Swift, and I love Taylor.
Okay, there's the sign. There goes the sound. Okay, we're back. Goodness gracious, sorry about the long pause, but we had to get TikTok back up and going, so I'm not sure what that was about, but the sound is working. So yeah, I just wanted to touch base on the protests that have been happening. I am of mixed mind. I really am. I am of mixed mind because partly these parades, these protests seem to be mostly, um, I don't know. It's like people go to church to compare clothing. People go to church to compare this or that. That's what the No Kings parades seem to me. They don't seem serious, and that's sad. A number of content creators have said this multiple times. If this isn't black led, it's not. It's not going to go anywhere. If it's not black led, it's not going anywhere. And we see the results. We see the results. We have people protesting this, that, and the other, in the third, and we're going nowhere. Trump is still getting elected. We're performative. We're not a serious people. If we're actually going to be serious, why not do this protest on a Monday and then carry it on for the entire week? Let's actually be serious about this. Shut the country down, essentially, by not going into work. There's an idea. There's an idea. But we've got to be serious about this. You know, everyone's going to go back into work on Monday morning. Nothing's going to have happened. The country's going to carry on as normal. Nothing's going to change. You know? And another content creator also said this: just because they're anti-Trump does not mean they're for equity. Does not mean they're not anti-black. And I have to agree with that, because there are a lot of anti-Trumpers that were performative bullshit artists, and when it came to election day, they were nowhere to be found. They were nowhere to be found. They didn't show up to the polls. They didn't show up to vote. They discouraged people from voting for the most competent candidate we've probably seen in a very long ass time. Kamala Harris should have won that hands down. And all because a bunch of racist Democrats decided to protest the vote. They decided, oh, she hasn't earned it. She didn't talk about my favorite issue, so therefore, tell me more. So my thing is, if this does not translate into votes, it doesn't matter. Look at all the anti-Trump protests we've had. Did it do a thing to Trump's poll numbers? Excuse me. Did it do anything for the voters' numbers? The voter numbers almost stayed the same. If not, they grew just a little bit. If you look at how many he got during his first run for office and as far as his second run for office, it's pretty much the same. Donald Trump didn't lose any voters. In fact, he may have gained a few. Emphasis on a few. But Kamala Harris, she got almost 30 million less votes than Joe Biden. Joe Biden cleared 90 million votes. And Kamala Harris, I think, got 75 million. What's our problem, Democrats? What's our problem? We'll show up for a protest. We'll show up for a demonstration, but we won't show up to vote. Why is that? And it's not the black community. Black women, they stood 10 toes down. They showed up. 92% turned out. 92% of black women turned out to vote. Where were the white women at? Black men, less than. The last, I think it was 88, 87%, 86% of LGBTQ. I hope so. I don't know. There's quite a few MAGA gay men, though. I don't know. I hope that figure is correct. But yeah, black men and black women overwhelmingly voted in favor of Kamala Harris. Where were the white people? Where were the white people? I'd like to know where the white people were at. Protesting the vote? Hmm? Voting third party? But yeah, this is where we're at. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue losing because we have not learned to excise, get rid of, cut out like a cancer the anti blackness that is infecting the white community. Forget about the MAGAs. The MAGAs are always going to be racist. We know this. But what is wrong with white Democrats? Why are we not showing out? Like I said, we turn out, we show up to rallies, we show up to events, we show up to protests, but when it comes to voting, we choke. You know? It's unbelievable. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this hard. But yeah, if you showed up to a No Kings parade, I hope you left your phone home or you wrapped it in foil because a lot of tracking went on, guaranteed. I mean, they were already talking about it before the event. So what do you think is going to happen during the event? But yeah, this is it. This is it. You know, either we get our heads out of our asses, white America, or we are going to fall flat on them. And we're going to keep losing. America is losing because of white supremacy. It doesn't matter the performance. It doesn't matter. If the performance, if the protests do not translate into votes, it does not matter. Everything else you did is bunk. If we're not showing up to vote, nothing you've done really mattered. Because you're not showing who you're. And by the way, if you look at the actual eligible voters, less than a third of eligible voters are even MAGA or Republican. Less than a third. The other 2/3 of the country better start giving a shit. Yes, early voting starts tomorrow in Texas. Thank you for that. Texas voters, if you are in Texas, you better be out there. Don't wait for election day. Don't wait for election day. I mean, I've said this myself. I will call in sick. I will call in sick before I miss voting. It doesn't matter. I will call into work. I doesn't matter. Voting will happen, hook or by crook. Now, luckily, I've not had to do that. I've been able to make it to early voting because something always happens on election day. Something always happens and the brain fizzles out. You got things to do. You know, you had to go into work that day. This is why I'm in favor of a voting holiday. Voting should be a holiday. Everybody should be off work on election day. But that's just me. We're not there yet. Keep voting Republican and we'll never get there. Just something to think about. Yeah, if you're not voting, it doesn't matter. You can join all the causes. You can sign all of the protests. You can sign all of the, what's the term I'm looking for? Talk about fried. My brain is fried today. But yeah, petitions, you could sign petitions, you could sign this, sign that, but if you're not voting, you've just canceled it out. It doesn't matter. We need to show the powers that be where we the people stand. And right now we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not serious people. In, I think it was either Iceland or Norway, back in the 70s, the women had gotten so fed up with being treated like second-class citizens, they shut the country down. They shut the country down. They did. They turned. They hit the streets. They protested, and the country came to a halt because they were fed up. They were not getting what they needed. They weren't getting the attention of the men running the country, so they shut it down. If we're really serious about it, how about let's just not show up to work for an entire week? All of America. Let's collectively do that. If we can show, how many people showed up for these parades over the weekend? How many people showed up to these parades? I guarantee you, if those same people decided not to show up to work on Monday throughout the entire week, oh man, it would bring this country to a halt. It would bring this country to a halt. So, but that's how it is. That's how it is. But yeah, no, I am all for building community. I am for that. But again, if the community isn't showing up to the polls, what good is the community? Because voting is how we get laws in place. This is how we prevent alt-right pipelines. We bring these corporations to heel our social media platforms and say, this is what you will do or you will get shut down. And again, you can't do it on a 50-50 government. You can't have 50% MAGA and 50% Democrat. That just doesn't work. We should not be suffering for split government. We should not be. There's no reason for it. No reason. We outnumber them. Oh my God, in double, triple digit. It doesn't matter. We outnumber them. There's no reason for us not getting the candidates that we need in office. But oftentimes, the voting is abysmal. The numbers are just atrocious. And it starts with the adults. If the adults don't take it seriously, the kids growing up aren't going to take it seriously. They're looking at us. Our kids are looking at us and watching us. And if they see that we are not serious about voting, they're not going to take it seriously either. I've taken my kids to the last two elections that we've had. I've taken my kids with me and I've told them this is of vital importance. We must have this. If we don't have this, we don't have a country. I've been stressing to them the takeover of fascism. I've been talking to them about anti-blackness, about anti-immigrant sentiments that we have been plagued with. And I've been selecting even the shows that we watch, the movies that we watch. There has to be some sort of message. Like I told my kids, I said, I'm done with Marvel. I'm done with DC. It gets old after a while. Something that has meaning. Eventually, my kids are going to be watching the Handmaid's Tale. They're going to be This is what's going to happen when you have a full fundamentalist Christian nationalist takeover in this country. Yeah, that's an idea. Start handing out voting info at the protests, get people signed up. All for that. All for that. All for that. That's good. But I just think the majority of people showing up to these polls, showing up to the protests, it's just to compare costumes and, oh, look at my hand sign that I made. And who has the Whittier hand sign. That's all. That's all I mean by that. I'm not saying don't go to any of these protests, but I'm just saying they're not having the result that we'd like to see. It's like, for instance, we protested Trump all throughout his first administration. We saw his poll numbers drop to an all-time low. Did it change anything? No. He had the same amount of voters. He didn't lose a single supporter. Or if he lost some, he gained the same amount back. It didn't work. We can't just depend on protesting. In fact, these protests do nothing. Quite a few black content creators have pointed out that they're not having the desired effect because we're not doing it right. Number one, they're not black led. We're not getting their opinion on it. Number two, They're not disrupting anything. They're very non-disruptive. That's what makes a protest or a boycott when it disrupts entire systems. When it does that, oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking. The Montgomery bus boycott. They boycotted the buses and public transportation for over a year. Over a year. That's how long it took. And the transportation system nearly went bankrupt. Several businesses almost went bankrupt because people quit buying their products. Black people stopped buying their products. Black people stopped using their transportation systems. And guess what? 92% have said they're resting. They're not resting in the way you think they are. They're just not hitting the streets. They're building community. Don't misunderstand them. They're building community, they're networking, and they don't trust us. They do not trust us white people. And for good reason. For good reason. I don't trust us either. They every single time they were there for the George Floyd the protest. They were there for they were trying to raise awareness. And white people stabbed them in the back. Stabbed them right in the fucking back. So they're like, you know what? We're tired of being used as target practice by the police. We're tired of getting our skulls bashed in by racist cops. And, we're tired of the lies. You guys said you had our backs. You guys said you were pro Kamala. And then when it came time to vote, we couldn't even get over 75 million of y'all to vote. And it's sad. It really is. White people are the worst when it comes to that. We really are. We'll make every excuse in the book. Well, she didn't say this. She could have said that. She did this. She did that. It's like, you know what? I've said this publicly. I would have voted for a dead dog before I voted for Trump or any Republican. I would have voted for the wheelchair of FDR before I ever voted Republican. And here comes Kamala Harris. More than competent, more than eloquent, more than learned, more than read, more so than Trump ever could hope to be in several lifetimes. And we couldn't get her. We couldn't get her in the White House. Shame on us. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's our fault. We failed her. Kamala Harris, do you see how punished she is? Do you see how punished she looks? She's like, you know what? If you don't want me, fine. I'll write a book and live my best life. And that's what Kamala Harris did. She's got a best-selling book now, and it's just they can't even keep it. They can't even keep enough in the libraries. I've been on hold for over a month. I started at 719th in line for the book and audiobook. And in it, she spills a lot of tea. There were quite a few racists in Joe Biden's cabinet who literally helped sabotage her. And I look forward to getting the skinny on that, getting the tea on Kamala Harris's 107 days. But yeah, this is our fault. We did this to ourselves. We've got no one else to blame. And if we do not extract our heads out of our asses, this is going to continue. We've got to get serious about this, people. Okay, I had another background. Let me see if I can pull it up. If it'll let me. Background. Let's see. Let's do this one. Nope. Blown out of the water. So Donald Trump has literally, there were billionaires in Biden's cabinet as well. Yeah. Billionaire class hasn't really done us any favors, has it? They gave Joe Biden quite a bit of bad advice, it would seem. But that's okay. Either we learn from it or we don't. So it looks like the Trump administration is hell bent on declaring war on Venezuela. So while the protests have been happening, it looks like. Oh, let me change the graphic here. Let's do blown out of the water here. Boop, there we go. Blown out of the water. Yeah, looks like quite a few boats. Some may be drug boats, some are not. I don't know. There was one boat that had 11 people on there. Quite a lot of people for a drug running expedition. So, I don't know. I don't know. They just been bombing boats left and right. And now it looks like the people of Venezuela have been gearing up for war, it seems like. Let me see if I can pull it up. Here's the U.S. military positions as Donald Trump pressures Venezuela. So he's actually pressuring the president to step down. This is according to CNN, for what it's worth. The U.S. military moves into position. The U.S. military has been steadily massing a large number of troops, naval, and air assets in the Caribbean over the last 2 months, conducting training missions off the coast of Venezuela, reopening the military base in Puerto Rico that has been shuttered for decades, and attacking speedboats carrying suspected drug traffickers from Venezuela to Colombia. Okay. As of Tuesday, a significant percentage of all deployed U.S. naval assets globally are also now located in U.S. Southern Command. U.S. military commands responsible for operations in the region, according to a fleet tracker published by the United States Naval Institute's news portal. That includes the Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group and the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, amounting to more than 4,500 Marines and sailors. Whoa, that's double than the last. That's double than the last amount we saw. Let's see, guided missile cruisers, P-8 Poseidon reconnaissance aircraft. At the same time, the U.S. has deployed 10 F-35 fighter jets to Puerto Rico. I hope they work this time. I heard the F-35 wasn't that reliable, but that was a couple of years ago. I hope they've gotten better since then. Yikes. It almost became the F-35 debacle. We didn't know if it was going to get past, what have you. But yeah, that's what's happening in the world today. I mean, we could cover many more issues. There's just a lot going on right now, but things are amassing on. It's like Hellfire missiles. Let's see what else. Separate images captured by a local photographer appears to show another Ghost Rider, the same facility. The airport has been staging ground for U.S. military operations in the region over the past several months. 200 military flights conducted in the Caribbean over the 2-month period from August to October. Now, bear in mind, they've been bombing since June, probably earlier than that. Let's see. In early October, Little Bird light attack helicopters, also identified by the Washington Post. Black Hawk helicopter spotted conducting training operations off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. The Little Bird is a highly specialized helicopter typically used by U.S. Special Forces for covert missions. Experts generally agree that at this point the U.S. does not have enough assets or troops in place to launch an incursion to control Venezuela itself. Yikes. The fact that they're talking about this should raise red flags. The fact that they're even talking about taking over. Oh, God. Let's see. Elliot Abrams, who served as the U.S. envoy to Venezuela during Trump's first term, told CNN, the military presence in the Caribbean is too big for just hitting a few speedboats, though it is not big enough for an invasion of Venezuela. What's in the middle, I think, is a pressure campaign meant to rattle Venezuela. Let's hope it turns out to be how they talked about taking over Greenland, or what was the other country they wanted to take over? Let's see. Can't think of it right off the top. Oh, Canada. Canada. They thought they would take over Canada. Unbelievable morons. It's enough to cause pain but not seize the terrain. We're not talking about an invasion or occupying force. Venezuela is not a military powerhouse, but it is a huge country with difficult and varied terrain. Hurricane season is not over, and the U.S. has not fought a tropical war in 2 generations. A tropical war. Okay. Venezuela has S-300 anti-aircraft missile systems, anti-aircraft guns, shoulder-launched air defense systems, and F-16. By the way, Venezuela is connected to quite a few countries that, how should I put it? It would put us, the United States, at odds with these countries that are currently our allies. Britain being one of them. Britain, I think, is a country that has peace agreements with Venezuela. That means they will come to their aid if attacked. Oh man, we are just putting everybody against each other, every man against his brother. I mean, of course, why not? Anyway, these were some of the thoughts I had. Don't mind me. We'll get the sound hopefully better next week. But anyway, I'm just going to sign off now. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. If you are on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'd appreciate it. Take care, everybody. And with that, we will sign out.